Good morning, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Unacademy. Yes. You know very well about Unacademy. This is India's largest and the best online education platform. Right. What are all the benefits you are likely to get once you enroll yourself in Unacademy? Ladies and gentlemen, if that's going to be your question, you might be well aware you got daily live classes like this. You can chat with your educator. You can engage in all-round productive discussion. And you can also ask all your genuine doubts and participate in the answer polls. All these things you can do when the session's going on. And you got structured courses here which is completely based on UPSC civil service examination pattern and syllabus as well. So that we ensure you stay on track. You never get deviated from the expected framework. Ladies and gentlemen, one particular point we are keep on emphasizing, of course, it's not knowing the stuff, knowing to deliver the stuff, because delivery matters. For that, we have got a mechanism. The mechanism, of course, once again, the mechanism, what we call, of course, that to evaluate your preparation at various levels. By conducting regular mock tests and quiz programs, and you get detailed analysis based on your performance, you come to know where you are strong, where you are weak. And moreover, once you enroll yourself in Unacademy, ladies and gentlemen, you are ready to access more than 1 million videos. You might be well aware. Whatever may be your electronic device, whether it is mobile phone, laptop, desktop, irrespective of your electronic device, you can learn from anywhere, anytime. What you have to do for that? Please download Unacademy Learning app immediately. And it's not only me, we more than 100 plus top educators of India. Part of Unacademy waiting there to support you so that you realize your dream, goal. You become leader in your own capacity. Please download Unacademy Learning app immediately, whether it is Android or iOS. Ladies and gentlemen, once you download, you are ready to access all those benefits. Yes, who is this interacting with you? Ladies and gentlemen, of course, this is Success Sampath from Chennai, right? With unique experience of got exposed to the fields of engineering, management, and legal education, with 25 years of experience in the field of coaching, especially shaping the careers of civil service aspirants. With my team, I could witness the humble results. Of course, you know that 250 plus results. All my kids are working in different parts of India as IAS, IPS, IRS, IFS officials. Some of them in abroad as well, part of Union External Affairs Ministry. You might be well aware. And this would have prompted you to ask me one question. What's your vision, sir? Yes, to be part of the solution by simplifying the complexity. Of course, fortunately, this particular vision of mine is completely, alignment with Unacademy's vision. Together, we are building communities. And to begin with, of course, to embrace Indian youth by providing career solution, later to embrace global community. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, that you can realize your goal or dream. As I said, you can become leader in your own capacity. Yes, you can also reach me through, the Telegram channel, of course, Unacademy_Sampath. Or variety of videos already available on the part of Unacademy. You might be well aware, whether it is YouTube channel, whether it is, the highly scoring and popular optional subject sociology, or essay paper, or ethics and integrity, part of your GS mains, of course, GS4, and also various topics relevant to, international relations, you call global state system. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Unacademy once again. You know that, and let me speak that way. It's not only, that on the part of YouTube channel, and also once you download it, the very platform, you can also, if you're already subscriber, you can watch those videos also. The last 5 years, the prelims MCQs, cutting across variety of segments, we have discussed several questions, came out of that, the recent prelims also, the very fantastic feedback we get from you. Thank you so much that, we feel there. incentivized, encouraged. That prompted us, because of that, we started discussing even variety of segments cutting across, the GS mains also. And why? When it comes to ethics and integrity, ladies and gentlemen, that the topics we handled prior to the mains examination 2020, those topics, that came. You just watch all those videos and go through previous year questions, you will come to know, ladies and gentlemen. So you can also reach me through, that Unacademy, the YouTube channel by using my ID, say Success Sampath or Sampath Irvengadam. You can also reach me, in social network, especially to benefit more. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Unacademy. This is Success Sampath interacting with you. Yes, right. Under UPSC Civil Service Examination, ladies and gentlemen, we got more than 15,000 courses. You might be well aware. But we strongly recommend, that Iconic as well as Plus program. What is this? Of course, here you've got 6 months, 12 months, of course, 1 year, 24 months, 36 months program. If you use my referral ID, say Success, you can avail maximum 10% discount when it comes to Plus program. You can save, of course, that 9,000 rupees. But when it comes to Iconic program, it's a very, that special program. You will be allotted a personal coach or mentor to take care of your needs, to understand your nature, and to train you on everyday basis in terms of answer writing exercises. You might be well aware. Right? So there in Iconic program, if you are going to use my referral ID, say Success, you're going to, that almost save, right, some 25,000 rupees, ladies and gentlemen. You can, technically speaking, you end up paying mere 80 to 100 rupees if you calculate in terms of per day basis. So the very, the consumption expenditure towards your snacks in the evening, everyday evening, but you ensure your career. It is as simple as that. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, yes. Not only that, variety of teams on the part of Unacademy, whether it is 6 months program, 1 year program, 2 years program, and NCRT batches, meant for prelims, of course. Ladies and gentlemen, whether it is, you South Indians, ladies and gentlemen, of course, you got English program, don't worry. There are people like me. And also, the exclusive Hindi medium and bilingual medium, ladies and gentlemen. So, that you try to make use of, the very teams part of Unacademy so that you become officer or leader in your own capacity. Ladies and gentlemen, one second. Go on. Yeah. And you can also go for combination of programs, that may be GS on the part of, Iconic program. Optional subject may be part of Plus program. Otherwise, you can go for exclusively Plus program, for both optional as well as GS papers. Ladies and gentlemen, whether it is 12 months program, 24 months program, 36 months program, use my referral ID, say Success, to avail maximum 10% discount. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Unacademy. This is Success Sampath interacting with you. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, this is right time. Let me take you in to the very purpose and direction of interaction. Ladies and gentlemen, this is in continuation of, that the variety of topics, that we started discussing every day morning, 9 o'clock. Hope you would have watched, the previous, videos also part of YouTube channel Unacademy. Ladies and gentlemen, today, the concentration is going to be on the renewable energy resources in India, especially the solar energy in India. Because, there came one question, of course, that in the mains 2020, you might be well aware, that, so India has got a huge potential for the solar energy. And of course, it's not free from the regional variation. So that's the question, of course, we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. So that gave us, that exactly, that we got inspired by that, of course, that opportunity. Why can't we discuss that way? And why? So we are living in the world where we are, that very much worried about, global warming, climatic change, and even the previous topics were, linked to that, whether it is melting of glaciers in the Himalayan mountains, or, that the very topic, that interlinking of rivers also, linked with that. So we are talking about today, that because, it's not completely busy with economic development. At the same time, there should be a balance when it comes to, that environmental sustainability. Because we get, that when it comes to governance, the conflict of interest, no doubt, whether it is economic development or environmental sustainability. So the moment, that we compromise, that environmental standards, of course, that we do injustice to the future generation or planet of the earth, or, the other species on the planet, the earth also are doing injustice to the environmental justice. We can speak that way. So given, that the exhausting fossil fuels, otherwise heavy bill we pay because of the importing of the crude oil, that energy, fossil fuels, that moves the nation, you might be aware, and which has got its own impact on, price rise mechanism in India, and which will have its own impact on governance mechanism too. Come on. So, that energy that moves, but that particular, that the fossil fuel, even the very coal, they add more carbon in the atmosphere, ultimately causing, that environmental degradation, you might be aware, linked with global warming or climatic change, and which has got its own impact on energy security and food security, threatening the food security and disaster angle too. And so there are several international attempts, that to keep this, all this, the disasters in check. Of course, that on the part of United Nations organization, we speak about United Nations Environment Program, United Nations Framework Convention on Climatic Change, and interpanel government, that on climatic change, we are talking about conference of party meetings. Of course, the COP21, we talk about, where the Paris Climatic Agreement, we have gone to that level. And this is apart from, the several initiatives we have taken in the past. What is that? We are talking about, Rio de Janeiro Summit, or Earth Summit you call, or Montreal Protocol, or Kyoto Protocol, where we spoke about, collective but differentiated responsibility. Ladies and gentlemen, then we, touch that, the very, Paris Climatic Agreement. Of course, the India's leadership, that to the very international architecture, that International Solar Alliance, where India took leadership after United Nations organization, the greatest entity, under the leadership of India. You might be well aware. Why all those things, ladies and gentlemen? What we are talking about? So, as a signatory to, that the Kyoto Protocol as well as, Paris Climatic Agreement, where we are committed to, especially Prime Minister, that Modi ji, when he participated, he set agenda, the target for, that renewable energy resources, as well as, the very solar energy, the crucial role played by the solar energy. And you can ask me why, even the very, that International Solar Alliance, that ISA or IACA, what you are talking about, ladies and gentlemen, because, we are very fortunate to be placed in between the tropical, the nation, of course, we are talking about. Otherwise, that there are several nations in the world. Of course, 121 nations, took part in that International Solar Alliance, that they were between, you might be aware, Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. Other nations also can participate who stay out of this belt, but they may not be given voting rights. You might be well aware. So, that we are all called, that the sons of the sun, of course, Surya Putra. That's what our Prime Minister Modi ji, spoke. So, because, you have to understand, without addressing the environmental concerns or environmental degradation, we can never address, that economic concerns. Ladies and gentlemen, you have to understand, the closely intertwined. It is not mere economic development, parallelly balancing environmental sustainability. So, the growth should not be at the cost of the future generation. So, given, that the fossil fuel adding more carbon in the atmosphere, inducing global warming, ultimately the disastrous angle, threatening food security, energy security, and climatic change, and direct impact on agriculture and groundwater table, you might be well aware. And also, that wiping out, the 10% of the species for every 1 degree Celsius rise, you might be aware. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, that India took leadership. You might be aware, especially, as architect of, International Solar Alliance, as well as our commitment in the Paris Climatic Agreement. So, we've got, that the Ministry of, that new and renewable energy resources, the National Solar Mission we are talking about. Of course, it is part of, that the 8 actions, that one of the 8 actions, that the climatic action, national climatic action we are talking about. We took initiative, and of course, the new agenda we fixed, because the fast growing, the sector, the solar energy sector, and that too part of renewable energy resources, that to 100 gigawatts, that the very target, by 2022, that we have set, you might be well aware. And 13, that 13 times, growth in the last 6 months we are witnessing. And, the second largest country, that to house, solar energy, and also the rooftop, that solar generation, for which, that we have given much push. Ladies and gentlemen, that India has got a huge potential. Not only that, the very recently, that Madhya Pradesh, Rewa, we are talking 740 megawatts, the photovoltaic, that the solar energy generation, thanks to that Madhya Pradesh. Of course, that the part of, that particular energy generation going to be utilized, the Delhi metro and rest of the things, to have clean hub on the part of Madhya Pradesh. We talk about much things. At the same time, it's not free from regional, that a variation, ladies and gentlemen, and at the same time, how to, the fix that, how to address those concerns, what is the way forward. That's what our agenda today. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Unacademy. This is Success Sampath interacting with you, especially on, that the solar energy in India, because India has got a huge potential when it comes to, that solar energy as a Surya Putra, as a son of, that sun, S-O-N of S-U-N. That's why, that as architect of, that International Solar Alliance, you might be well aware. Ladies and gentlemen, let me take you to the next level. Yes, once again. Ladies and gentlemen, hope the video and audio is very clear. If at all you got any, discrepancy problem, please tell me. Yeah, very good morning, Ram Kumar. And good morning, Chandu. Come on. So BKS, someone. I think, hope now you're watching, that if you got any discrepancy, please tell me. Ladies and gentlemen, yes. Thank you so much. Right. Let me take you in. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, what is the agenda? We already, that highlighted you. And before going there, why this? When we talk about civil service examination preparation, you might be well aware the very important role played by general studies, that too in terms of, the ratio, that dynamic versus static portion. Talk about, because that the very GS alone capable of contributing to the tune of, that 1,200 marks I told you, that out of 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are good at, that general studies, I'm pretty sure you can become even all India topper, because, even if you get 1,000 marks, you will become IAS. You know the story. You know the reality. It's not story. Oh my God, that's very important. Yes, the very general studies, I said, the key role it plays in when it comes to civil service examination preparation. And that too in prelims, you got, that the very general studies, of course, objective type meant for your 200 marks. When it comes to mains, that you got paper 1, 2, 3, 4. GS paper 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 into 250 marks, 1,000 marks. Maybe paper 4, GS 4, meant for ethics and integrity. Of course, you got 2 essays you're going to write for that, 1 into 1, the 2 into 125, 250 marks. And also the oral interview out of 275 marks, which has got the responsibility of almost 100 to 150 marks. All this benefits you get because of this. So, but on an average, let me put this way, 1,200 marks for which, that this general studies can contribute out of, 2025. Including, the prelims I added, ladies and gentlemen. And that too, the very general studies, you might be well aware, the ratio can be divided this way. Dynamic versus static portion. The static portion maybe, let me, for practical reason, 40%. Of course, that, whereas the dynamic portion, very well, 60%, even 70% you can put when it comes to dynamic portion. It's otherwise called, current affairs. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, so, that you understand that. Otherwise, let me put this way, in all my, the lectures, I keep on emphasizing, jack of all, master of one subject. That is what otherwise called civil service examination preparation. Jack of all, when I say that's otherwise GS. Cutting across, various segments of GS. You got, of course, that environmental science or science and technology, Indian economy. It's not economics, Indian economy. Applying the principles of economics in Indian context and also engaging the international state system we are talking about. Then, of course, that Indian polity or governance, that Indian constitution you call. Then, of course, that Indian geography, that Indian geography, world geography, of course, physical geography, economic geography, everything you speak. When it comes to history, ancient India, medieval India, modern India, in mains, you've got postmodern India also. Of course, GK portion, Indian art and culture portion. Ladies and gentlemen, that way, that, so you get variety of segments when it comes to, that the very general studies, you might be well aware. Whereas in prelims, that the direct questions, objective type, whereas in mains, you might be well aware, it's analytical based questions, subjective type. You're going to write something. In mains written, of course, 1750 marks for which you are going to write, whereas in prelims, you made mere shading. We keep on emphasizing this. I understand there are a lot of newcomers in my every session. There comes my responsibility. Ladies and gentlemen, one shoe cannot fit everyone. Fit for all approach will never work. We understand, ladies and gentlemen, that there comes ultimately. That my responsibility. Yes. So you understand this way, focus on this. But whereas the dynamic portions are topics linked to the current affairs, you can meet with the support of course, the editorials of Hindu Indian Express and also Press Information Bureau articles and, the Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha TV debates, especially big picture like programs. And also, that the very Yojana, Kurukshetra, even frontline articles, and also the various articles written by subject matter experts, the guest columns, columnists. So that is what, that your dynamic portion or current affairs, but whereas static portion, you meet with the support of, NCRT books as well as, the textbooks. Even the questions you get, linked with, static portion relevant to the current affairs. As we spoke yesterday when we were talking about interlinking of rivers, the Central Water Commission, celebrating 75th year. Why Central Water Commission? On the part of, that the Ministry of, Water Resources and River Development and Ganga Rejuvenation, even the very United Nations Organization, Food and Agriculture Organization, celebrating 75th year. So, it is that way, centenary celebration or 150-year celebration, maybe the static topic, but relevant to the current affairs. The last 2 years you can focus, and something happened in the past 4 years or 6 years back, that now in the name of Supreme Court judgment, otherwise India became signatory, otherwise our president or prime minister, any foreign leader visiting India became controversial. So anything which affects, socio-economic, environmental and political aspects at the global level, at the national level, at the regional level or sub-regional level. So think globally, act locally. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Unacademy. This is Success Sampath interacting with you. This is apart from the marks what you're going to get out of your optional subject as well as your oral interview, part of your UPSC main. Ladies and gentlemen, so this has got that much huge potential. That is why, that my humble attempt is to present you, that the very important topics, that I say domain approach. I take into account, of course, the 250 domains are there when it comes to general studies. They are very strong over those 250 domains. Nobody can shake you. You become unstoppable, ladies and gentlemen. So it is preparing you to that particular ultimatum, ladies and gentlemen. So, the blessings of the God, my humble attempt in front of you to expose you to each and every domain. It's otherwise called domain per day. So maybe my focus today, the center around solar energy in India, out of, renewable energy resources. Just now we spoke the importance, we want to have, the clean and green energy. It is not economic development, parallelly balancing with environmental sustainability. Even the European Union standards, that it's not talking about mere growth, the growth and employment generation in alignment with, that ultimately, that nature, in alignment with, that environmental sustainability. So we started traveling that path also. And also, the China story in 1990s, they were nothing. But that, so the great rise of China when it comes to renewable energy resources, that to solar energy, and that the low interest based financing, and also the materials availability, cheap materials availability, and also their investments in the third world countries. So there are so many lessons that we have to learn out of that different nations in the world. So so as to make it the potential of solar energy in India as a successful story. That's very important, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, I think let me take you to the next. Then linking with the previous year question that gave me opportunity to think in this direction. The context, the mains 2020 question that prompted me, ladies and gentlemen. So India has got a huge potential when it comes to solar energy, but that's not free from the regional variation we are talking about. That's a question. So we are going to discuss that at length. So that for that we are going to get support from different facts in terms of substantiation. And finally, what is the way forward when it comes to some sort of issues? And also, that linking with variety of institutions at the national level, international institutions, and finally, the resources to be consulted. Because this is my humble attempt on your base. So what you are going to do, based on my foundational information, what you are going to do that next level, that matters a lot. For that, you can consult other resources too. Ladies and gentlemen, let me take you in. Yes, we took you to the importance of general studies. Of course, you got it now. Let me repeat once again, 1200 marks. It's not just, even if you get, that 800 mark, that with 850, 900 itself, you would have become, that all India civil servant. That's important. 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. So, that try to focus more, because that the UPSC expects you to be a generalist, not a specialist kind. Because there will be several specialists there waiting for your, that a decision. And by your decision, you're going to make difference in the lives of so many people. Are you good decision maker? For that, you should be well aware of, what's happening in and around socio-economic, environmental, and political aspects, global level, national level, regional level, sub-regional level. That awareness, as a generalist, you become a good decision maker, and you have to apply your mind. That demands your, in-depth understanding and maturity. So the whole civil service examination preparation prepares you. Maybe the prelims expecting your awareness part or knowledge, whereas the mains expecting to test you, especially in terms of your in-depth knowledge or mature knowledge called wisdom. Whereas that your oral interview part of the mains testing your decision making skill. You become district magistrate then. Decision making skills we are talking about. Are you a good decision maker? So that knowledge, wisdom, decision. The whole civil service examination has been planned in such a way. It's not only forget about this examination. It will transform your personality. You become a good leader. A great. Why good leader? Good is the enemy of the great, right? I want you to be a great leader, because the future of the nation is shaped in the classroom, as I shape you now, with the blessings of the God. My humble attempt. Though it may be virtual learning. Ladies and gentlemen, so work towards this line, that you will see the byproduct, your personality. You become a great personality in the world. You're going to make, the impact on society. Your life is message to the global community then. You're going to make a dent on society. And you will live even after your death. Your legacy. Echattar Kanapadam. There is a saying in Tamil. Takkar Tagavilar Enbardam. The legacy you're going to leave. That's very important, ladies and gentlemen. So, of course, so the very important role played by your awareness part. Of course, it's not mere awareness, but in-depth knowledge and mature knowledge, then decision-making skills. So, this is, that a transformation happens when the moment you start preparing for UPSC civil service examination. Whether you become, that officer or not, that's different, but you will become officer because you are on right track. That's important, ladies and gentlemen. So it will transform your personality. You are more than that. You'll be more than that. That's very important. That's what you're going to realize. Ladies and gentlemen, let me take you to the next level. Yes, this is what the context. What is that? The question 16 of Mains 2020 paper, especially the GS paper 1. The 250 words, the 15 marks awarded for that, you might be aware. So India has got immense potential of solar energy. So there are regional variations in its development. Cutting across various factors we are going to discuss. So the question expects you to elaborate that. So 2 parts actually, but of course that our stress emphasis is on going to be the first part, that later we will touch that also, regional variations, ladies and gentlemen. So this is what that they gave me opportunity. That the Mains 2020 question, they gave the opportunity to discuss this. This is part of that India's efforts to have self-reliance in all. The self-reliant economy you talk about. Of course, you talk about Atmanirbhar Bharat. So the 20 lakh crores, that allotment for that, given COVID situation, the government started realizing it's not outside in, it is inside out. இருக்கும் இடத்தை விட்டு இல்லாத இடம் தேடி எங்கெங்கோ அலைகிறாயே ஞானத்தங்கமே. Everything is here. All is well. So, that we develop insense to it. We don't recognize our inherent potential. We think, that everything from outside. Happiness is not outside. Happiness is inside. All is well. The moment you become weak, it appears as if everything is outside. Some reason, maybe you develop inferiority complex out of it as a nation. Even that's what Dr. Kalam also emphasizes. We were superpower. We were, spiritual guru. But various colonization, invasions happened in such a way, that the people started having, that feeling, that inferiority complex because of the exploitation. And we were divided for somebody else's exploitation measures. So it's right time, that we have to realize that we have to come back and we have to once again declare the world, we are the Vishwa Guru. Of course, government taking a lot of efforts towards that particular direction. The self-reliance in economy. Otherwise, the self-reliant economy, you call Atmanirbhar Bharat. Talk about. Of course, you know that you might be aware, given COVID situation, how it's, you know, that, so that the sound economy demands, you know, strong infrastructural supports. When you talk about infrastructure, of course, the energy security, that comes important role played by energy security. Tell me your EB bill, I will tell you your economic status. Tell me the countries, you know, the energy security scenario. And talk about, you know, country's economic status, the energy that moves the nation. So, you know, the proportionate, you know, that when you talk about economic development, there should be, you know, the proportionate consumption of energy. Of course, you know that given we are tired of, you know, that the adding more carbon in the atmosphere, we know the man-made disaster, global warming, climatic change, and threatening our livelihood, you might be aware. So because we started thinking in terms of, we have become sensitive, environmental sustainability. So that's why, you know, that we are talking about, you know, that renewable energy, the solar, wind, and biofuel, you know, that we are talking that way, ladies and gentlemen. So of course, the important role, you know, this is apart from the, you know, the wind potential we are talking about. Of course, in spite of that, let me tell you frankly, the solar energy part of renewable energy resources only to the tune of around 13 to 15%. But the very fast growing, you know, the energy sector, the solar energy part of renewable energy sector. Otherwise, let me speak this way. Out of the target, you know, the fixed for 175 gigawatts, you know, we were thinking in terms of megawatts. We started thinking in terms of gigawatts. You just see how the strength came, how the confidence came. It's because of the solar energy, the fast growing sector. The 100 gigawatts, you know, the target we fixed for solar energy out of 175, you know, the gigawatts of the whole renewable energy resources by 2020. Of course, you know, because of COVID situation, there is a deficit. That's different scenario. You understand? So Atmanirbhar, self-reliant economy may not be, self-reliant economy may not be possible without self-reliance in renewable energy resources, especially in solar energy production and equipments meant for, you know, the solar panels and other, you know, the materials availability. And also we have to facilitate that particular effort by low financing. We talked so many things, ladies and gentlemen. It is that way. Yes, 1 second. Hope your video is clear. Yeah, Sandeep Kumar Panda. Ladies and gentlemen, so Chandu, BKS, Ram Kumar Aluwala, Sandeep Kumar Panda. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Unacademy. This is Success Sampath interacting with you. Fantastic. Yeah, very good morning, everyone. Yes. Hope you know that you are happy. You know that, so you know that if voice or, you know, that the video clarity, anything is lacking, you know, please intimate us immediately. We are there to fix it immediately. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's that way. So to give shape to this, you know, self-reliance in economy, of course, you know that, so we have to rely more on renewable energy resources. Of course, you know, the Prime Minister Modi ji's, you know, statements when he was, you know, that inaugurating, you know, the global renewable energy sources investor summit or different fora. Of course, you know, he emphasizes, so solar energy would play a major role in achieving self-reliance in energy. The self-reliance in economy may not be possible without self-reliance in energy, because the heavy bill we pay in the name of importing crude oil, at the same time adding more carbon. We want clean and green energy. So that's very essential. Of course, you see solar panels now, you know, that the Reva, Madhya Pradesh, you have seen, which is very essential for Atmanirbhar, self-reliant India. We are talking about, ladies and gentlemen, I am talking about what Prime Minister Modi ji, you know, that there somewhere we have to begin from that particular quote. So we won't be able to use solar power entirely unless we have within the country, you know, the improved solar panels or improved batteries and best quality storage. You know, that solar energy generation is one thing. The greatest challenge, even the, you know, that the head of, you know, the International Solar Alliance, of course, you know, that the great Tripathi, you know, he speaks that way. So storage facility, the quality storage is very important. Otherwise, what is the use of generating, you know, that the very, you know, that energy if you're not properly storing? So that's another challenge we are talking about. So we need to work in this direction. That's as per, you know, that the Prime Minister Modi ji's statement. So solar energy would be a big medium for energy needs the 21st century. The renewable energy resources, especially as I said, you know, that out of 175 gigawatts, the target for solar energy, 100, you know, the gigawatts. The important role played by solar energy, though, you know, that it's the fastest growing, you know, that energy sector, you know, part of renewable energy mechanism, you might be well aware, you know, that. So That's what, that we are talking about. 13 times in the last, the 6 months, the growth we are talking about. And also the second largest power when it comes to, the solar energy, very India after United States of America. Yes, this is because the solar energy is pure, pure, pure. Pure, as long as sun is there, you will get energy. As long as sunshine is there, you will get energy. What else you need? So you can ask me, what is the, the sun energy is there. Of course, you get sun energy. We're talking about. And the sun falls on, the photovoltaic, the cells, that, of course, that where transducer we call. So, that the light is getting converted into electricity. Then it will be stored in the battery. Simple mechanism, let me speak. This is otherwise called transducer. So when the that, of course, that the heat falls on this film, the heat is, that ultimately, that transform, law of conservation of energy. Energy neither can be created nor destroyed, but one form of energy can be converted into another form, equal to mc squared. Everything, ladies and gentlemen. So the transducer, which converts, that the heat, the sunshine, of course, into electricity, which is, clean and green, which is eco-friendly. Of course, what you needed? Infrastructure. Of course, that. So, it is that way we are talking about. So, as long as sunshine is there, very sure you'll be getting the energy. And also, it's a pure, because it's not, polluting the atmosphere. Like, the fossil fuel or burning of coal. No, not at all. It's very clean, eco-friendly, and also secure. So what happened, right? It is protecting the environment, not polluting the environment. So it's also secure. It is a German. So as per, the Prime Minister Modi's statement, so the solar energy is sure. Bilkul, a pure, shuddha. The swastha, I don't know, that secure. It's a more secure you talk about, ladies and gentlemen. So it is that way, that ladies and gentlemen, so that of course the definition, because of the sources of energy can be exhausted, but the sun will continue to shine. Pure, because instead of polluting the environment, it helps to protect it, we are talking about. And secure, because that it's a huge symbol, inspiration for Atmanirbhar Bharat. So self-reliant in economy may not be possible without self-reliance in energy. That to renewable energy resources, that to solar energy, where we have got huge potential. So, very recently, India has proved by the establishment of 750 megawatts, that the solar energy production center, of course, the Reva solar project, photovoltaic, the cell, out of which, we make, of course, thanks to, Thomas Alva Edison, even the recent, Tesla, that making use of this, you might be aware. Ladies and gentlemen, so Reva, the solar project, which is said to be Asia's largest solar project. Of course, that 750 megawatts we are talking about generation, where a partially, the 24% of energy is spent on, the Delhi metro rail, remaining, that to make the Madhya Pradesh as, the clean hub of, the green energy. So this is the first solar project in the country to break the grid parity barrier. Of course, we are talking about. That's fantastic effort. So not only this, and also rooftop, the solar energy generation, another potential we are talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, you might be well aware. So it is that way. Yes, as a Surya Putra, as a SON of SUN. What is that? Surya Putra, as a son of sun. You understand? Lot of sense of sun. Because there are several nations, almost 120 nations between Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. So the Surya Putras we are talking about, that facilitated, India. That's a statement of Prime Minister Modi ji. We are talking about International Solar Alliance. So while the Delhi Metro will use, 24% of electricity produced from it, Madhya Pradesh will use the rest of the thing. We are talking about, so in that way, making the hub of the cheap and clean energy we are talking about. See, very important point here is that affordability and accessibility. That's important. Affordability, that. So why, that it's a very huge, that the potential importance, that India is a country which is capable of, offering the very cheap electricity, which is less than, 2 rupees per unit. Even the very one particular, that organization from, that the Gujarat proved that. Earlier it was around 7 rupees, 8 rupees. It came to the level of 2 rupees, that 50 paise like. Now it is less than 2 rupees we are talking about. So the cheap, that, so, that affordability and also accessibility. So that demands, that a lot of infrastructural facilities and storage facilities we are talking about. For that, that the government talking about, 30% subsidy also, and other, that the tax holiday, that other measures also to encourage that. And also, that very northeastern, that the states, they get almost 70%, that subsidy mechanism. You might be well aware. So government encouraging all around, that, so that, that to have, clean and green energy. So it's not, that, so the government's priority, so the electricity reached everyone at the same time, that the environment remained pure. There should be a balance. There should be a balance. So it talks about, the responsibility also. So government's priority, that is that electricity reached everyone. At the same time, environment remained pure. So understand, this is what the trend. So, that you have to speak this language, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, you speak the language of the nation, which governs now. Of course, that, the governing mechanism otherwise. So this particular thing is reflected in our policies and relating to solar energy. What happened in 2014? The price of solar power, you might be well aware, 7 to 8 rupees, per unit. But today it is, the 2.15 to 2.30 per unit. Why? As I said, in Gujarat, one organization started supplying 1.99 rupees that way. So not just in the country, all over the world. All over the world, it's being talked about, how solar power is so cheap in India. You get the logic? What I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen? Yes, that way. One second. Let me cross check. I'll Don't worry. Perfect. Audio, video. That's fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, I parallelly cross check. Yes. So we have decided that government organizations which buy solar cells and that the module should buy only one, only the ones made in India. That the government ultimately making it, mandatory, right? Yeah. Come on, that it should be our domestic industries, that should be supported first, that focus, think globally, but act locally. That's important. So the government organizations which buy solar cells, it's not buying from somewhere else. Hello, come on. So the module should, that should be bought in India. First of all, that's restriction. That we are talking about self-reliance in economy. Why not, self-reliance in energy sector? Come back. So when we talk about, that the very renewable energy mix, the solar energy occupies, that of course 13 to 15% alone. But you just see the huge potential for the wind energy. You would have seen in South and all, Kayataru, Muppandal, the great windmill. Of course, that you talk about the turbines. We are talking about the great turbines. Yes, it's that way, ladies and gentlemen. So that I probably it may give you some sort of idea. Even the hydro electric power, which has got that the capacity of that 25 the gigawatts. In that addition, we are talking about, of course. So and this bioenergy 14%. This is the as of now, though India has got huge potential for solar, we are yet to tap. But of course, it's the fastest growing that energy sector out of renewable energy resources. That's different. That how it can be done. Recently, we proved it's not only Rewa, Madhya Pradesh, the rooftop, that electricity, the photovoltaic cells, the solar energy production. That's going to convert that. We are going to talk about. So we believe that, and also the government's role is to facilitate, that for infrastructural growth in terms of, that the affordability, low financing, and also, that investing on, accessibility, that the storage facility, everything. We are talking that way. Ladies and gentlemen, let me take you to the next level. Yes, in order to achieve self-reliance, the country is aimed at ending its dependence on imports. Ending its dependence on imports we are talking about, that so then only self-reliance is possible. It's not, by importing everything. We have to strengthen our R&D. We are, all infrastructural bottlenecks should be addressed in such a way. That's why Make in India campaign. That's why, the Prime Minister Modi ji traveling to different countries, the diaspora diplomacy, economic diplomacy, so as to, that get, that appeal to, the diaspora community to bring more remittances here. Otherwise, that FDI, FII, venture capitalism. You might be aware, that. So that ultimately, that. So to strengthen our infrastructure, that, and also, that emphasizing more on public-private partnership. You might be well aware. We are talking that way. So India's renewable energy deployment plans for the coming decade, that are likely to generate, that a business opportunity. This is according to Modi ji's statement, a 20 billion, the dollar in need we are talking about. So it's appeal to the investors, that so you come and invest. So it is capable of generating, that the business opportunities, $20 billion in a year. So this is renewable energy deployment plans, as per Prime Minister Modi ji's statement. So the country's renewable energy capacity is now the fourth largest, as that we are talking about, the fourth largest in the world. India's, that renewable energy capacity we are talking about. Of course, when it comes to solar energy, that after United States of America, we are second. You might be aware. But solar energy in India, this is how you come to know it. The target, of course, we are talking about by 2022, the target is, that 100 gigawatts we are talking about. But whereas we take, this is wind. Just see. So, that it was here, now it has gone to this level. Of course, we are heading towards that. Of course, the COVID situation, which has, that stopped this for a while. Of course, that, but it is the fastest growing, the energy sector. It's highly realistic. We are talking about, and that too, as I emphasize, out of the target of, 175 gigawatts meant for the total renewable energy, we expect, the very solar energy to be, that meeting the requirement of 100 gigawatts, and that too, the very rooftop, what we are talking about, that the electricity is generation by photovoltaic cell, that capable of contributing 40 gigawatts. We are talking that way. You understand the whole scenario? This is total renewable energy, and this is solar energy. Out of the solar energy production, we are talking about the rooftop, that electricity generation by, that solar energy panels we are talking about. Come on, this way I want you to look at, that we took over, that from wind energy, we took over. We are from there, we are here now. So the fastest growing industry, as I said, 13 times of growth in the last 6 months we are talking about. Of course, if COVID wasn't there, we would have gone to the next level, but don't worry. Of course, that, and what is the key? Affordability and accessibility is the key we are talking about. At the same time, it's not free from regional variations we are talking about. So I think, that it's not only that the Prime Minister Modi ji also talking about, we are showing to the world. Because, it's not, he has to change, she has to change. Be the change that you wish to see in the world, as said by Mahatma Gandhi. That's what, Modi ji is saying. We are showing to the world that sound environmental policies can also be, that a sound economic. You got the idea? So it is not the size of the economic development. It is not the size of the vessel with which, you collect water. The quality of the water, the very vessel. That matters a lot. Quality, quality, quality. It's not the quantity. It's not the size of the vessel. It is the quality of the vessel. That says how much you collected the water. Otherwise, when the vessel is, when the vessel is, the very huge, with full of pores, what is the use? All collected water will go off, right? So that is the thing. It's not a, it's not a quantity, it's the quality. So the sound environmental policies, they play key role. It's not talking about mere economic development. It should be balanced by, that the concomitant environmental sustainability or sustainable development. It is not compromising the planet of the earth or future generation otherwise. Otherwise, growth should not be at the cost of the future generation. It's that way. So sound environmental policies can also be sound economic. We're talking about. That you won't understand by, that some 40 gigawatts electricity generation, in the sense, of course, we are going to cut down 60, the million tons of, that the very carbon. Adding, that you just see the economics behind it. Great, we are talking about. So Prime Minister Modi ji was urging the global investors to consider, that tapping the recently approved, the production linked incentive scheme. Produce more, you get incentives. Of course, the 30% subsidy, even state-wise and sector-wise, of course, we talk about. So for manufacturing high efficiency solar power modules, because that if you're going to import, that all materials from foreign countries, then what is the use? How come you can talk about self-reliance in energy or self-reliance in economy? So we have to manufacture those units. And given, this particular appeal, from Prime Minister Modi ji, especially in Global Renewable Energy Investment Meeting and Expo, you might be aware. So, that, so production linked incentive scheme for manufacturing high efficiency solar power. So it is encouragement from government side in terms of subsidy, in terms of tax tax holidays. You might be well aware. And also low finance. We are talking about that. That's what China did. We have to follow the footsteps of China here. If you want to reach, if you want to tap the huge potential availability in India when it comes to solar energy out of the renewable energy resources. It's that way, ladies and gentlemen. Let me take you to the next level. Yes, what is that? India has got no doubt. That's what the question is all about. Immense or huge potential of solar energy, though there are regional variations. That regional variations are going to address, that. So we are talking about this. This emerging, India is emerging in the global arena as a leading generator of, that renewable energy. So our determination to have, clean and green, that energy. Our determination, the strong commitment towards, Paris Climatic Agreement, the COP21, as well as, that to follow the footsteps of European standards. See, the growth and the employment generation should be aligned with, the environmental policies of the nation. We are working that way. And also as the architect of, that the International Solar Alliance, that we are talking about, as one of the Surya Putra. After the United Nations organization, a greatest entity that we had. So India's leadership, and it has got headquarters in Gurgaon, Delhi. You might be aware. The 15 million commitment from Indian side for that. You might be well aware. And also the establishment of recent, that Madhya Pradesh Reva project, that 750 megawatts, of course, generation we are talking about. And also the rooftop, that electricity generation, the solar energy production, for that we give much emphasis. So everything seems to be very realistic, ladies and gentlemen. So in its efforts to move further towards sustainable development, ladies and gentlemen, the government has set a target to achieve 175 gigawatts of installed capacity of, renewable energy by the end of 2022, next year. Out of this, you just see the role of the very solar energy, 100 gigawatts. Hitherto we spoke in megawatts. Now we all of a sudden we started speaking in gigawatts. That even that's what the boss of that International Solar Alliance, that say Tripathi speaks that way. That have you done any spelling mistake? People questioned him. Instead of the mega, you put giga. He said no, confident. No, we are confident. So such is the thing. The manifold, the growth, the pace with which the fastest development happening in solar energy we are talking about. So 100 out of 175 gigawatts that from solar we are talking about, to target set for solar installation. So out of 175 gigawatts for renewable energy, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, and this is what the scenario. Out of that 175 gigawatts of renewable energy capacity by 2022, what are all the steps taken? Of course, 23 gigawatts renewable energy capacity left to bidding. And that 82 gigawatts renewable energy capacity will be installed. Of course, this is old statistics I'm giving you, the status report like that. This is as per India's Ministry of New and Renewable Energy Resources. Out of 175 gigawatts, what is the status report we are talking about? Though it is old, you understand that what we do, the efforts that taken. So 31 gigawatts renewable energy capacity is at various stages of installation, and 39 gigawatts at various stages of bidding. It is that way we talk about. Ladies and gentlemen, that by 2020 we are, of course, this COVID situation dampened the very speed, of course, that we talk about. Let's see. That's a global menace we are talking about. Yes, once again. Yes, the inclination towards solar generation has allowed India to overpower the US and to become second largest country in terms of solar power generation. But in terms of renewable energy strength, we enjoy fourth position. But when it comes to solar power generation, see, fastest growing nation, and also the cheap electricity out of solar energy in the world, that's India they're talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, you got the point. So the estimated solar energy potential of India, where the most of the parts receive abundant solar radiation, is around 750 that gigawatt solar power. You just imagine, that the solar energy potential of India, where most of its parts, because as a tropical nation, which is between Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn, of course, that's what we talk about. As a Surya Putra, that's why that. So blessed with the abundant solar radiation is around 750 gigawatt solar power. So we are out of 750, the very our target is going to be that only for 100 by 2022. So 650 gigawatts yet to be tapped. You see huge potential. That's why we are talking about. So to have, clean and green fuel we are talking about, and also that it's not only self-reliance economy may not be possible without self-reliance in energy. That's why that the focus on renewable energy resources, that too the important role played by the solar energy contribution we are talking about. Out of 750 gigawatts potential solar energy, now the target set for the 22 target set for that 100 gigawatts we are talking about. This is out of that by 20 in the same year, of course that 175 gigawatts that meant for total renewable energy resources. Ladies and gentlemen, let me take you to the next level. So harnessing solar energy is one of the major components of renewable energy strategy. So the very solar energy plays crucial role in this renewable energy strategy of India. You understand? It's that much, so not only that, you might be well aware the National Solar Mission, it has been launched, that by that former Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh, as Jawaharlal Nehru National Solar Mission. You might be aware it is that way. So that they set one target. Of course, Prime Minister Modi ji has set the very great ambitious target, but at the same time our Prime Minister also should be instructed in such a way. This ambition demands aggressive execution, also aggressive policy of execution. It's not simply fixing the goal, aggressive policy also. Of course, that hope they are working towards that, I believe. So the National Solar Mission to establish itself as a global leader in solar energy and solar energy framing policies, that, and what is the point ultimately? So National Solar Mission, the framing policy to speedily diffuse solar ventures and technologies across the country. That's the mission we are talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the mission. Fortunately, that you understand National Solar Mission, part of that the Ministry of New Renewable Energy Resources we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. So this mission, is one of the several policies of National Action Plan on Climate Change. That they are around that 8 policies. That this that National Solar Mission is one among them. Part of this National Action Plan Climate Change. That the very program, of course, national. That solar mission, that the program was inaugurated as a Jawaharlal Nehru National Solar Mission by former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh, especially Jan 2010 we are talking about, with a humble target, of course, that. So, the 20 gigawatts by 2022, but Prime Minister Modi ji recently, because, the speed with which, the fastest development we witness in this sector, the solar energy of, the renewable energy resources, as I said, 13 times in the last 6 months. That's the scenario we took. We surpassed, the wind energy generation we are talking about. So, that we started, that setting the target 100, the 100 gigawatts by 2022. Of course, the COVID situation dampened our speed. That's a different story we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. So, the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, through its, that National Solar Mission of India, has set the target of 40 gigawatts power through rooftop solar 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, let me recall. So the total potential of that the solar energy as a tropical nation or Surya Putra, solar energy in India available is this much. But the Gandhi is 175. It's not talking about facts so that you understand the scenario. It has got the concept associated with it. It's not mere number I'm saying. 175, the gigawatts what we are talking about, that is a target by 2022, that when it comes to the total, that renewable energy. It looks like, the government file number, they will write like this. Oh my God. Oh my God. I see the impact of, my short government service impact here. So out of this 175 gigawatts, what I'm talking about, that 100 gigawatts, that set, the target set for solar energy alone. Out of that 100, 40 gigawatts, the idea. Oh my God. See? So though we have set mere 100, gigawatts, the target by 2022, it got dampened the very speed. Why? Because of the COVID situation. But India has got the huge potential when it comes to solar energy production. The 750 gigawatts, that is what the thing we are talking about. So you have to connect yourself in that way. So the regional grid integration, but what happens, right? It's not mere electricity generation. It should be connected in the grid we are talking about. So the regional grid integration, not grid integration requires advancement to accommodate the targeted 175 gigawatts of renewable energy. That's very important. So we talk about, clean and green energy, where we emphasize affordability and accessibility, and also talking about, the self-reliant in economy is possible only with the support of, that self-reliance in energy sector. That too, India has got the huge potential in terms of solar energy to the extent of, 750 gigawatts generation. Ladies and gentlemen, it's that way we are talking about. There we emphasize, that rooftop, that solar energy production, that very important role out of the whole, the solar energy production. Yes, making efforts to cope with effectively. India is trying to reduce or take the risk. How? By addressing the revenue shortfall. Of course, these are all the issues, fixed by India then and there and in various, the regions, and minimizing delays related to the land acquisition. But when it comes to solar energy, you don't need much land, because, on the rooftop itself, even, that, so if at all, that some extensive places you devote, given that we are bestowed with, the tropical nation status, otherwise, as a Surya Putra. Of course, when it comes to domestic level, we are talking about one nation, one grid. But at the global level, one nation, not one nation, one sun, one globe, one grid. We are talking that way at the global level. But at the national level, one nation, one grid. Do you understand that way? So, and promoting cleaner cooking and off-grid and off-grid electrification solutions, we are fixing all those issues and encouraging parallelly a shift towards using solar photovoltaic cells. The photovoltaic cells, which converts, that when the voltaic, that light is getting converted into sunlight, the light is getting converted into energy. We are talking about as transducer, which converts one form of energy into another form. We spoke already. So, the photovoltaic cells for cooking and charging batteries, and extract most from the solar park and grid connected, the solar rooftop schemes we are talking about. So, that these are all several, the measures, that, the efforts, that we take to cope up with, and also to reduce the risk associated with the solar electricity generation we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. So, that being so, the India's total renewable energy installed capacity stood at more than, that 89.5 gigawatts. This is apart from hydropower, that exceeding. We are talking about 25, not gigawatts, 25 megawatts, by 31st October. We are talking about. So, the target set, you might be aware, 100 gigawatts by 2022. But we are talking about, almost 90 gigawatts alone. You just see, it's a great, we met, that 90%. So, the total renewable energy target, not 100, 175. 175 gigawatts, out of which, we met almost 90. The total renewable energy target we are talking about, not 90%. I'm sorry, it is that way, ladies and gentlemen. So, and also among large economies, India showed the fastest growth in adding renewable energy capacity by growing 2.5 times, the growth witnessed by this sector, the renewable energy production. Not only that, when it comes to solar energy, ladies and gentlemen, which has marked the growth of over 13 times in the past, 6 years. I said 6 months, the past 6 years, of course. When it comes to solar energy production, we are talking about over 13 times, the growth we witnessed in the last 6 years. So, the fastest growing energy sector, the solar energy, part of renewable energy. Of course, renewable energy resources, the capacity is growing by 2.5 times we are talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, you got the idea. Let me take you to the next level, of course. Yes. I'm drinking much water. I'm sorry. Water hungry. Yesterday I spoke about the topic interlinking of rivers. 220 million people in India, water hungry people. Per capita water availability. If I drink this way, probably I'm drinking, the water meant for someone else. Oh my God, I'm sorry. Hope it is responsible consumption. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is that way. So what happened? Of course, that this particular situation prompted, a merger acquisition when it comes to solar energy production. Of course, that, so, the SoftBank, that SoftBank, that its collaboration, that its investment in India, we are talking about, that in the JV, joint venture especially, the SBG Clean Tech, that so Sunil Mittal, you might be aware, that the Bharti and Foxconn, that will have significant minority stakes. These are all collaboration efforts we are talking about. So, that this is, the chief of, SoftBank, of course, this gentleman, of course, we are talking about, and Masayoshi Son, the another son. son of the sun. But that he says when it comes to that Japan, India has got more that a shining power of, and also less cost in generation, and more land availability also, and it is that way accessibility also. That so Japan was compared with India. You might be aware that article spoke that way. So this SoftBank chief Masayoshi Son feels solar energy holds immense potential, as we have seen now. 750 gigawatts can be generated in India, because we are a tropical nation, as a Surya Putra, as a nation between, of course, Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn we are talking about. So given the abundant sunlight and lower cost construction, so that and of solar zones we are talking about. So that this particular statistics, of course, Prime Minister Modi ji has said that 100 gigawatts by 2022. It's not this way. So that this is completely restructuring of that the previous regimes, the target we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. So this involve various measures at the international level also when it comes to the collaboration, the joint venture we are talking about. Yeah, very good morning, that Adishruti, Bijesh, Ajan Sharma, and everyone, ladies and gentlemen. Let me, that I think, people started talking. Yeah, that's fantastic question, Anjan Sharma. That's what we are talking about. We as a Surya Putra, the son of the sun. There are several nations. That's why we became architect of that International Solar Alliance. You might be aware. So there are 120 that nations took part in the summit. Also, India as a leader for that particular organization. This is next great entity in the UN. After UN, you are talking about why we are Surya Putra. We are blessed with that a great the sunshine. That's why we've got greatest advantage. That's why we've got 750 gigawatts potential. I'm talking about, Anjan Sharma. Yeah, that is the thing we are talking about, the very material solar panel. No, it's of course, that's what we are talking about. There should be a low interest based financing should be done in India. That's as it is done in the case of China. We are talking about affordability, accessibility is the key roles. They should play key role. Ladies and gentlemen, yeah, that's what we are talking about. Hope, Anjan Sharma, you got the point I'm talking about. Yes. So the government is also making a lot of efforts, that's what I'm going to discuss, all those points, the way forward also, don't worry. Yeah, that high cost we are going to, it's not only that the panel production, of course it is domestic production, it should not be imported, and also that all that's insisting all those government that institutions to buy only in India, should not import from outside. And beyond that, we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to that provide, we are providing subsidy also for that. Accessibility and affordability is the key when it comes to that the solar production. You might be well aware. So out of that, that the solar energy production, the renewable energy resources, the rooftop system, you see how the rooftop system, even I'm thinking of putting in my home in the near future. Don't worry, because when you try to put, of course people may be talking about infrastructural cost, investment capital. So what, you just think about that how you are going to pay electricity bill in the next 10 years. Think that way, club together, put, so that you won't be part of that vagaries, the power cut, all those things, that. So it is that way. So self-reliance, at the domestic level I'm talking about. Otherwise, that in the apartments, communities, it may be possible. If not for the whole apartment, at least at the block level. So that you reduce your dependency, self-reliance, freedom, privacy. You save money because of that. Free from interruptions also. That never stops your, the productivity. I want you to apply. It's not the thinking in terms of global. Think globally, act locally. Apply. So in your local community, it is possible, because you get 30% of subsidy and several tax holidays mechanism. You try to get that awareness, ladies and gentlemen. I'm talking about it's my appeal to all fellow citizens too, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, so large potential is available for generating. Once again, large potential is available for generating solar power using unutilized space on rooftops and buildings. We simply lock our the top floor. We don't allow people use only that space only for drying that wash clothes. What is the use? That the all complete sunshine is getting wasted. You can establish panel, generate electricity. You can share in your neighborhood also. If you otherwise allow it on the grid, you sell. As a hotel, that whole apartment, the gated community, you can generate electricity, and that having utilized, and the rest of the energy can be that put in the grid. You can encash. Come on. It is not it is not collecting, that the monthly, that the maintenance charges from, residents. You can, that it's not collector of the revenue. You can generate the revenue. You can make the gated community self-sustainable. Of course, I understand. You can, that you can say capital involved. Of course, you got subsidy, 30%. Of course, you go for, that availing loans, low interest based loans with the support of the government on behalf of the very gated community. You establish, you generate. So this is far-sighted thinking. I want you to think in the nation's path. So clean and green energy, when it begins at, charity begins at home, at the gated community level, then at the local body level, then at the state level, national level, global level. Why not? So there'll be, so the whole, we are all stakeholders, for sustainable development. So we have got responsibility also. We are talking about it. Ladies and gentlemen, so a large potential is available for generating solar power using unutilized space on rooftops. So solar power generated by each individual household, industrial, institutional, commercial, or any other type of buildings can be used to partially fulfill the requirements of the building occupants. Of course, that the gated community may consume it, and surplus, if at all any, can be fed to the grid and you can encash it. So it is not collecting, that maintenance charges from, residents there, and you can generate, that income, and later you can share the dividend among residents. Come on. The paradigm shift in thinking. You can do that way. It's not only for current affairs sake, for the government. It's not only exclusive domain of the very government sector, urban or local bodies. You can do at the domestic level. It's possible. Okay. So far, as per 2015 statistics, 26 states have notified the regulations to provide net metering and gross metering facilities, to support, because already electricity board on laws, the transmission laws, corruption, Koki Kumaru, all political parties, they will put one hook and suck the electricity. I don't think, the politicians paying electricity bill. They are only for sucking resources, sucking the blood of, ordinary citizens. Oh my God. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, there are bad people, good and bad together. So come on. So regulations to provide net metering, gross metering facilities to support solar rooftops installations. We are talking about it. Is that way? Yes, ladies and gentlemen. So the capital subsidy of 30%, will be provided. You feel incentivized. When it comes to investments, the Prime Minister Modi ji address, there will be, that performance based, that performance linked incentives. But, when it comes to manufacturing sector, but capital subsidy, 30% to the tune, that. So for general category states, union territories, 70% special category states. The northeastern states, including Sikkim, Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh, Jammu Kashmir, and Ladakh, and Andaman Nicobar Islands, and they get the 70%. It is that way, special category. So different, this is what equity, not equality, equity. So that we understand, that unique problems on the part of everyone, we go for accordingly. So there will be, that no subsidy for commercial and industrial establishments in the private sector, since they are eligible for other benefits. What are all those? Accelerated depreciation, custom duty concession, and excise duty exemptions, and tax holidays they get because of that. Of course, government taking lot of efforts, you understand, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to solar energy production. What's the point here? The affordability and accessibility. We are talking that way. So this is cheaper than diesel gensets. We are talking about cheaper than diesel gensets based electricity generation. We are talking about. And it is also cheaper than the cost at which the most discoms, would make the power available to the industrial, commercial, and high-end domestic consumers. So cheaper than the cost at which the distribution companies we are talking about. You understand now? So affordability and accessibility, that should be the key word. And India is the country which offers, which gives, the cheap electricity out of, solar energy production. And that too, that less than 2 rupees per unit. We are talking that way. Ladies and gentlemen, and given 750 gigawatts potential, that with which India has been blessed as a tropical nation, as a Surya Putra. Yes, and also the important role played by rooftop electricity generation we are talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, yes. So with the new initiative, India will emerge as that a major country utilizing the roof space for solar rooftop system on such a large scale. All open, unutilized, underutilized spaces can be utilized. Purampo lands. Why? Even all those, that the rivers, that, yeah, you can. But there are countries, utilizing, that the ocean's surface, they will be floating. There will be some, that there will be tide somewhere. Come on. The 70% of, that the surface of the planet of the earth is going to be, of course, that the very water body in the sense, on water bodies, except navigation places. You can have a route there. All lakes, open lakes can be utilized for that particular purpose. Why can't be permanent structure there? It's possible. And that during the non-availability of water, at least, it will generate. We're talking about that way, ladies and gentlemen. So, the major country utilizing roof space for solar rooftop system on such a large scale we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. Let me take you to the next level. Though large scale installations account for 87% of solar power generation. 87% of large scale installation accounting for 87% of solar power generation. Today, the adoption rate of solar rooftop panels is accelerating. That the more speed with which, that the very growth is witnessed when it comes to, solar rooftop panel, that the base production we are talking about. Of course, so the 40 gigawatts will result in the abatement, or you say, you cut off the 60 million tons of CO2 per year. See? You generate, as let me come back to the statistics. Huge potential available in solar energy, 750 gigawatts. The target set by 2022, 100 gigawatts. And the rooftop, that electricity generation, that allocated for 40 gigawatts. You just imagine, it's not only that electricity generation, parallelly, the clean energy, green energy, which is capable of cutting off, that the 60 million tons of CO2 per year. Of course, the statistics speaks in such a way, it's almost equivalent to the 2 crores of, plantation done. The plantation and the trees grown to that extent. Oh my God, and will help to fulfill, the commitment of India towards contribution in mitigating the effect of climatic change. We become, we participate in mitigating the effect of climatic change. We take part in sustainable development measures. That way, we arrest the global warming. We stop the man-made disaster. We check that, that the global warming. Otherwise, that way, India's contribution, that way, of course. So, India's solar energy, strategy should look at tapping the best globally and to make it locally. So, think globally, act locally. That the best, tapping the best at global level and making it happen at the local level. So, that's what the Prime Minister Modi's, that a strong resolve to tap that energy of the sun to substantially power the economy of everyday life. You understand? So, it could, that help chart a green deal for the future. It's a green deal we are talking about. Green deal. Green deal. We are talking that way. Ladies and gentlemen, you just see. So, underutilized portions, rooftops can be utilized that way. That even, the ocean bodies, surface of the lakes, ocean bodies, water bodies, we are talking about. So, Prime Minister Modi also, that has restated the case for the greater reliance on solar power. Greater reliance on solar power for energy and the path of self-reliant industrialization. It's not depending on someone. So, that's why Atmanirbhar Bharat, self-reliant in economy is possible only with self-reliance in energy. And that too, the focus on renewable energy resources, and that too solar energy, where India has got huge potential of 750 gigawatts we are talking about. And that another thing, Madhya Pradesh, we, that of course, established the photovoltaic, the project, the Prime Minister Modi ji inaugurated that in Madhya Pradesh, the REVA project, 750 megawatts, the photovoltaic project, we are talking about solar energy production. Yes, the idea of building, the domestic solar manufacturing industry, that delivers. So, the idea of building domestic solar manufacturing industry that delivers increasing volumes of, that the quality photovoltaic cells and modules and associated equipment long in the tooth. Of course, it's a very old concept, that it's a very long, that in gestation we are talking about. Discussion. So, the idea of building domestic solar manufacturing industry that delivers, then what is the use of importing all those equipments in the name of, self-reliance in energy or self-reliant economy? We have to generate on our own and insisting all our government institutions to buy from India. That then only it is possible. And also, that encouraging the manufacturing, the boost by, that giving 30% subsidy. Even for states, some states, 70% subsidy we provide. Yes, and tax holidays, and that even the private companies, given other measures also. We are talking about that way. Ladies and gentlemen, yes. So India's installed base of this green power source is about 35 gigawatts, and its projected addition of the capacity until 24 in COVID-19 affected future is estimated by the industry would be 50 gigawatts we are talking about. So why the COVID situation dampened our speed? That's what we are talking about. So 100 gigawatts by 2022 may not be possible. Of course, we are talking about why? Because of the COVID situation. Of course, that why we set that particular target, where we set that target. Of course, the Paris Climatic Agreement, that on climatic change, otherwise it's called, the COP21 measures. So installing 100 gigawatts of solar power by 2022, but to meet that particular target, of course, the COVID situation dampened the speed we are talking about, the sharp deficit will be there, we understand. It is that way, ladies and gentlemen. And before going there, you have to understand what is this, Paris Climatic Agreement. As I said, the United Nations Environment Program, we spoke at length, United Nations, the UNFCCC, United Nations Framework Convention on Climatic Change, we are talking about, and the Conference of Party meetings, this is COP21, Rio de Janeiro Summit, Montreal Treaty, Kyoto Protocol. In Kyoto Protocol, we spoke about, the collective but differentiated responsibility, Annexure 1, Annexure 2 countries, the Paris Climatic Agreement. Of course, the 2016, of course, India became signatory, you might be aware. What is this? The Paris Climatic Agreement, the key points. I think let me take this opportunity to understand, why India was committed in this summit and why India set its target of, the very solar energy production of 100 gigawatts, that by 2022, or the renewable energy, the target as 175 gigawatts. So in the Paris Climatic Agreement, for that you have to understand what is this primary, the Paris Climatic Agreement is all about. At least let us talk about the key points. Yes, it's talking about, that the temperature at least, that well below 2 degrees Celsius, at least the temperature. So, that we have to continue all efforts to limit the rise in temperature at least 1.5 degrees Celsius. I told you already, for every 1 degree Celsius rise of temperature on the planet of the Earth, we lose, the 10% of, species getting wiped away. And this is apart from, the threatening food security and disastrous angle. Understand? It is that way. So, that we have to keep the temperature at check, that by 2100. But when it comes to financing, that the polluter must pay. That's a principle. You developed countries, that you did everything possible in the name of industrial development, and you polluted the atmosphere. Now we are trying to establish industry. You are asking several questions. Is it eco-friendly? Is it child labor free? Who asked all these questions when you were establishing, the industries? Of course, these debates ultimately, that so people agree, the collective but differentiated responsibility on the part of Kyoto Protocol itself. So rich countries must provide $100 billion from 2020 as floor, that you have to contribute. Funding, Clean Development Fund, and also amount to be updated by, 2025. We are talking about, so that, that they come up, use that technology, access and affordability we are talking about, and also differentiation. That developed countries have got more responsibility because you polluted first. And we have got only less space, and now only we are establishing, and that too we are very weak in terms of manufacturing or industrial sector. You got more responsibility. So, you have to take leadership. And, that it's not only that sharing the technology, sharing the funding, and also the emissions objectives by 2050, that so aim of the greenhouse gases emissions to peak as soon as possible. But whereas, that from 2050, the rapid reduction to achieve a balance between emissions and from human activity, and we are talking about different responsibility on the part of developed and developing that countries when it comes to emission objectives, green gas emission objectives, and burden sharing. So developed countries have got more responsibility. They provide financial resources to developing countries also, not only the technology. But whereas that so at developing underdeveloped world, they should come forward voluntary basis to take part and to be a part of this global measure. And also the review mechanism by 2023, and also the climatic change, the vulnerable countries have won recognition of the need for, that the minimizing and addressing the losses suffered due to climatic change. So this is a greatest development we are talking about. Of course, the COP21. Of course, we are talking about, that 22nd April 2016, India became signatory, and India also set the goal in terms of renewable energy, in terms of solar energy production. So I think, that you understood what is Paris Climatic Agreement. This is in continuation of the several measures we took part of United Nations Environment Program or United Nations Framework Convention on Climatic Change. You got another measure also, that Interpanel Government on Climatic Change, which predicted the disasters of melting of glaciers and everything. You might be aware. So the combined with low domestic cell manufacturing capacity at 3.1 gigawatts, the last year we are talking about. So heavy reliance on China, because we are talking about Atmanirbhar Bharat, self-reliant economy. So that demands self-reliance in energy. But if you are going to rely on China in terms of importing all those the equipments, what is the use then? So whatever may be, this setting of the target 175 gigawatts of renewable energy in total, or 100 gigawatts of that by 2022 when it comes to solar energy production, or 40 gigawatts when it comes to the rooftop that solar energy production, whatever may be its ambition, good, fantastic. We appreciate your goal setting strategy, but this high ambition must be supported by aggressive official policy. Preaching is easier than practice. Action speaks louder than words. It's not by simple eloquence and utterance, we can convince people. Pasithavanukku soru poda vendum. But come out of this survival mechanism. Work towards excellence. Pasithavanukku soru podanum. Bhagavad Gita pesakudadu. So, that all our high ambitions should be matched by, strict execution also. Aggressive policy of execution that demands strict discipline, commitment. Strong commitment without compromising honesty. எவன் ஒருவனுக்கு சொல்லும் செயலும் ஒன்னாக இருக்குதோ அவனை அழிக்கிறதுக்கு இந்த உலகத்தில் எந்த சக்தியுமே இல்லைன்னு விவேகானந்தர். சொல்லும் செயலும், நாங்க சொல்றதை தான் செய்வோம், செய்யறதுதான் சொல்லுவோம். சொல்லாததையும் செய்வோம், சொல்றது மட்டும் செய்யல, சொல்லாததையும் செய்யறது, சொல்றதையும் செய்யறது இல்லை. There are some political parties. Oh my God. Come on. So high ambition must be supported by aggressive official policy. Ladies and gentlemen, you understand. It's not preaching, it's practicing. Action speaks louder than words. Appreciate ambition. Okay. The great ambition is the reflection of great character. But it should be matched by words. Matched by deeds, not words. The words should be matched by deeds. That's important. So the Chinese story, you have to understand why the Chinese story. You take lessons out of Chinese story. What is that? One of the steady rise from insignificant manufacturing capability in 1990s. So, but it's a steady rise now. How? Virtual dominance. That through active government support in identifying and acquiring the top technologies at the global level when it comes to solar energy, and importing the critical raw materials for the very manufacturing sector, such as the materials of polysilicon, and acquiring the solar manufacturers that abroad, and investing in third countries with ready capability. Got the idea? So it took a lot of efforts. The China took a lot of efforts. Got the idea? So it's the virtual dominance now today we are talking about. Why? It's because of the government support in identifying, acquiring top technologies globally, importing critical raw materials. This is very, very important point. And the critical raw material, what you call polysilicon, because that's the silicon, the India is abundant with the beach, silicon dioxide, SiO2, you can make. And acquiring that solar manufacturers abroad, and investing in third countries. China did. So that's why the Prime Minister's appeal to all the investors, the production based that linked incentives will be given. That's appeal, the Global Investor Summit and Expo, that you come to know. Ladies and gentlemen, so we are talking that way. And also importantly, the domestic market was treated with great importance while promoting expo. So that even we come to know top quality, it will go to export quality. So what you generate is not for people, you generate only for export. Oh my God. Export quality. People speak this way. All quality items will be exported, only inferior items will be sold in the domestic market. What is this? When you show inferior to your own people, you know that they will be inferior only. Priority. So domestic market should be treated with great importance while promoting export. So you do something export, of course, but at the same time take care of the domestic market. So you know that great importance with which we have to attach that importance. So pandemic, the COVID pandemic presents a critical opportunity for India and you know to plan for a green deal on the lines of so what European Union has committed itself, you know that in the path of European Union we have to walk. Otherwise, what is that? The future growth. So when it comes to European Union, they do this way. The future growth and employment should align itself to environmental and sustainability objectives. So that's what that economic development parallelly in concomitant to that environmental sustainability without compromising environmental sustainability. So economic development should balance environmental sustainability. And it's not mere corporate development, it's not mere the economic development without the employment generation. Even when you do that, you should align with the country's the environmental sustainability policies. That's very important, because good economics may not be there without that respecting good environmental policy. They are that intertwined. You have to understand, they go together. So you know that the moment you do injustice to the mother earth, you cut the umbilical cord. By destroying root, you can never enjoy the fruit. It's that way we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. So particularly in energy production, that is what the point. So particularly in energy production, that what is the European Union's commitment? We have to walk in the path, chosen by European Union. So it's a great critical opportunity for India, given pandemic situation, to plan for green deal, and also keeping in mind accessibility, affordability. And that already we touched that the cheap the solar energy production in the world, what is that? Less than 2 rupees per unit we are talking about. And given the 750 gigawatts of that the large potential when it comes to solar energy in India as a tropical nation, as a Surya Putra, of course that, yes, ladies and gentlemen, that way. So and what happened, right, which is away from the dirty fuels such as coal, because by burning coal, fossil fuel, you add more carbon in the atmosphere, inducing global warming, then contributing to climate change. But you arrest them, as I said, that the rooftop, that solar energy production, with that, you cut off 60 that million tons of that the CO2. Come on, you have to think that way. So it's a great plan for a green deal, that we have to do that way. Ladies and gentlemen, you try to understand that. One second, excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm taking without you. Please, you can also refresh yourself parallel, please. I'm sorry. And there is no better time than now to make solar energy a strategic sector. It's not only always talking about defense sector, strategic sector. Hello, the energy which is clean and green energy that saves nation, that saves that the whole planet of the earth, that saves the future of that our generation. Why not? Why not? That you can also give strategic status to this particular that sector, na? So there is no better time than now to make solar energy a strategic sector, and giving it as much importance as the defense. So self-reliance in economy, Atmanirbhar Bharat is possible only when we have self-reliance in energy production. Only when we have clean and green energy, that too affordability, accessibility. That untapped potential when it comes to solar energy of 750 gigawatts we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. And as a Surya Putra, as a tropical nation, we are blessed that to have this particular position. The International Solar Alliance, that as architect of International Solar Alliance, which attracted 121 nations, especially in its launch, India needs to show leadership to advance the manufacture and absorption of solar photovoltaic infrastructure in low and middle income countries. Yeah, It's not, that it's not always saying I'm champion of developing country. Come on, stop, man. Think in terms of, developed country. Vishwaguru. India started thinking that way. See, one international organization is under the leadership of India as architect of International Solar Alliance. That all international institutions, wherever we go, we say all international institutions should be restructured because they are not delivering the goods meant for the today's reality. Whether it is United Nations Organization or the World Health Organization, we speak that way. Even there is the global political order shift we are talking about, and also global financial order shift from Western focused financial institutions to Eastern focused financial institutions. When it comes to the new development bank part of BRICS, and also Asia Infrastructure Investment Bank, why not? Let me recall here, that of course, that the very 19th century meant for Europe, 20th century meant for USA, the 21st century meant for Asia, especially India and China, and 22nd century may be meant for Eurasia or Africa in other standards. Let's understand this. It's our time. The time has apne time aa gaye. Apne time aa gaye. You talk that way, that it is that way. So show leadership to advance the manufacture and absorption of solar. That when it comes to sustainable development, the goals, the 17 goals, we are also assisting some of that underdeveloped countries so that they come out of that. We support them. The India UN Summit, we fund them. Are you aware of this? So same thing can be done here when it comes to that the production, manufacturing of solar photovoltaic infrastructure, and so that they can be, that we can also that support the low and middle income countries. It is that way we're talking about. It's not only giving that solar energy as a that status, a strategic sector equivalent to the defense sector, and also International Solar Alliance. What it is, you have to ask me that question. Let's take some time to understand this. It's an alliance of 121 countries, as I spoke, initiated by India, most of them being sunshine countries, sunshine industries, sunshine countries we are talking about, which lie either completely or partially between Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. Well, I think you can locate, I believe, that maybe. I think you can locate. Use your map, to locate, that otherwise, maybe. Yeah, I can. Ladies and gentlemen, so Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. Almost, let me say this way: Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. Yeah, that's this region. I'm talking about this particular region, this way. And there are other nations out of this belt also can participate, but they won't be giving voting. They won't be giving given the voting rights. It is almost this belt. So the Tropic of that the very Cancer passes through that the very heart, India's heart. You might be aware. So Tropic of it is all nations occupying this particular belt I'm talking about. Maybe it's visible to you. I don't know how extent. I'm sorry. Oh my God. No, it is almost. This middle belt I'm talking about. This. Hope you got it. Okay, you got it. Yes, International Solar Alliance is an alliance of 121 countries initiated by India, most of them being sunshine, of course, that you talk about. How it is. And you can locate in the map, I'm sorry. That, so the camera, the reflection, light, everything different. Okay, right. Ladies and gentlemen, which lie either completely or partly between Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. The primary objective of the alliance is to work for efficient consumption of solar energy to reduce dependence on fossil fuel. Exhausting fossil fuel, different. But alternative energy resources we are talking about, renewable energy resources, solar, wind, biofuel, like that. So, that we have got potential of solar energy to the tune of 750 gigawatts in India. You have to tap that as a tropical country, as a Surya Putra. Why India is placed between Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn? There are several nations, almost 121 countries we are talking about. So, efficient consumption of solar energy to reduce dependence on fossil fuel we are talking about. Yes, once again. So India's contribution to that international solar alliance we are talking about. Of course, that India is committed to the corpus fund of 15 million that India is providing. You might be aware, that, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about. And also the Indian Renewable Energy Development Agency and other, that Solar Energy Corporation of India, both of them, that the various, that arms of, that the Ministry of, that New and Renewable Energy have already committed to 1 million, that each the dollars we are talking about, and also Coal India, NALCO, they are, that and participating. You might be aware. Not only that, India has also set aside 5 acres of land in Gurgaon, that Gurgaon, New Delhi. We are talking about. And next to the National Institute of Solar Energy, and which has got the headquarters of International Solar Alliance, you might be aware, that India as architect of, that International Solar Alliance we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, this initiative was, the first proposed by Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Of course, that in his speech, November 2015, at Wembley Stadium, that in which he referred to sunshine countries as Surya Putra or sons of the sun. SONS of SUN. Surya Putra. Okay, it is this way, that so the summit, of course, we are talking about Prime Minister Modi ji and other member nations we are talking about. The alliance is, the treaty-based intergovernmental organization we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. So, this as architect of this international, the solar alliance, that why India, a tropical nation, as a Surya Putra, that we've got responsibility we are talking about. So, countries, that you can also say others. What about, other nations than this, Surya Putra? The countries do not fall within this tropics can also join the alliance and enjoy all the benefits as other members. But exception is that the exception of voting rights, they won't be given the right of voting, because that's a priority. So after United Nations, it's the largest grouping of the states worldwide. You come to know, ladies and gentlemen. So taking opportunity of this particular topic, solar energy, the Paris Climatic Agreement, wherever the committed goal, and also talking about the European Union standards, we would like to emulate, and also that as architect of International Solar Alliance, and also that the National Solar Mission, part of that the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy Resources. So we take opportunity to know about those efforts also, ladies and gentlemen. It is that way. Let me take you to the next level. Yes. So not only that, this International Solar Alliance, India as architect of this particular, that IAC, what IAC represent, which is representing 73% of global population. You have to understand, but India is the leader. India's leadership here, and 36% of global GDP, and 55% of total energy consumption worldwide. The force to reckon with, and also the 23% of that installed solar capacity we are talking about. Ladies and gentlemen. So it is that way, that in the next 5 years, the combined solar power generation of potential of IACA member 138 gigawatts we are talking about. But ladies and gentlemen, well, by 2022 we fixed the target of that 100 gigawatts solar. But of course, COVID situation dampened our speed. That's a different story. That we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. Let me take you to the next level. But India has got the huge potential of 750 gigawatts when it comes to solar energy production. We are talking about that way. Not only that, ladies and gentlemen, the key requirements are integrated policies. We are talking about integrated policies fully supported by states. That there should be central and state cooperation we are talking about. And also, that industry must get help to set up facilities and avoid low cost financing. So that's what happened in India. Not India. That's what happened in China. The same way it has to happen in India. So both important elements in China's rise. So China from humble 1990s, the vigorous rise when it comes to solar energy production. We're talking about, that, and be able to invest in intellectual properties. The government should not hesitate to invest more. We are talking about, ladies and gentlemen, and also that inviting that other investors, so that that they can get 20 billion dollars in a year when they are going to invest in solar energy panel production. You might be aware. We spoke at length about that. And forward-looking program should also look at that emerging the trends in deploying the solar. We are talking about the emerging trends. They should not be outdated or living in the past, right? The 21st century demands that the tools meant for 21st century. It's not living in the past. So creativity, innovation is the key. That if you want to see that next level, that demands our next avatar also, next level of tools also, ladies and gentlemen. So these include newer technologies. That dusra that you talk about, that technologies, aesthetic photovoltaic window and roof tiles for buildings. Why not? And also multi-role, that urban structures, and greater use of that residential and commercial buildings, to deploy that more panels we are talking about. It's that way. So we have to make use of the technology available, to take it to the next level, ladies and gentlemen. So, but at the same time, though we are talking about that the very the huge potential of solar energy, India is bestowed with as a tropical nation, as a Surya Putra, 750 gigawatts. There are regional variations also based on these factors I'm talking about. Excuse me, let me do justice. Thank you so much, everyone. Though there are regional variations, that link to that variable flexibilities of the power systems at the regional level, and also different levels of regional disaggregation. That's a point, of course, the geographical limitation, and also some discoms, the distribution companies, that acting as regional monopoly. That's a problem then. And also that a total inter-regional transmission capacity, considering the intermittent nature of solar energy. So that the different seasons we have to take into account, and monsoon season, and otherwise that the less that sunshine period also you have to take into account. It is that way. That varies from region to region. You might be well aware. You take into account that all seasons parallelly, and also physical limits across the regions going to mix up thermodynamics and witness climatic variables. That's what we speak. Let's understand the nature, and given the monsoon dependent country, southwest monsoon, northeast monsoon, and disaster December in India, you know very well. All those things we have to take into account. And employing various techniques for the solar thermal power plants, that these are all the regional variations we witness. And grid integration issues also we face. And also hybrids, combining elements of solar energy with others, because the moment you be part of the grid, so many things that we encounter regional variations, ladies and gentlemen. So though we are talking about huge solar potential, at the same time we talk about the regional variations also parallelly. So what is the way forward, ladies and gentlemen, when we are talking about this? The key requirements are that integrated policies fully supported by states, as we spoke that earlier. The center and states that should work together in such a situation. So there should not be a conflict. Of course, we are living in the world of that competitive federalism, cooperative federalism. Of course, that the center-state relations should be respected in such a way. All the differences that can be sorted out when it comes to Niti Aayog. And that the center connects through Finance Commission Article 280 and 15th Finance Commission also we are talking about. So several the way with which, of course, there comes responsibility on the part of all stakeholders, right? So industry must get, of course, that industry must get help to set up facilities and avail low-cost financing. This particular point we already emphasized. In spite of that, we repeat, as it has happened in China, the India also should not hesitate to invest in intellectual property we are talking about, because this is exclusively the way forward mechanism. So 100 that a megawatt module production, smart line manufacturing should be set up in such a way so that the assembly line manufacturing we are talking about, yes, the panels will be generated. So no need of importing from foreign countries, of course. Cutting across the variety of the size of the wattages we are talking about. So smart line production to boost the manufacturing, the efforts can be taken in such a way. However, the manufacturing of solar equipment, it is dominated by handful of number of countries. We have to break that glass ceiling effect. and India should generate more. So there comes affordability, accessibility, low financing, and various measures from the government side. So India, in order to become world leader, that in solar power, cannot just rely on large scale solar deployment by importing solar equipment. So by importing, if you are going to deploy everything, we are doing injustice to self reliance in energy sector, or even self reliance in the economy. So we have to generate our own, and we have to export. Taking efforts in that particular direction, only that letter and spirit will solve the issue. So there is an immediate necessity to develop that entire value chain ecosystem, and to become competitive and to achieve sustainable growth in the long run. We are talking about all these things, ladies and gentlemen, and also that. So the very point, that what is the point ultimately? The focus on last mile connectivity. At the end of the day, the last, that every individual should get clean and green electricity without compromising that environmental standards, and also that strictly adhering to affordability and accessibility. As I said, the cheap electricity, the less than the 2 rupees per unit we are talking about, that's what the cheap electricity availability in India, and that too through the solar potential, the tune of the 750 megawatts. Yes, the focus on last mile connectivity in remote areas where developing transmission infrastructure is a challenge. It's a remote area, that's why. And through small solar installations or solar community grids, by using domestically manufactured product, why not, like the China, we develop a lot of that support cottage based industries as they do that electronic goods. Why can't we do that way here? The cottage industry is not only making that, so the kuda, BD, that that maybe explosives, patasu, crackers, chivagasi. Can't we do same thing in the case of electronic industry? Why don't we think the different, that it's not making mere survival strategy, right? Excellent strategy. Generate more and export. Can we do that way? Why can't government do in such a way the measures, many measures? BD Suttardu, because they develop TB, the crackers vulnerability to explosions, and also all those tiles industry, child labor industry, the Alipur everywhere. You have to think smart, that it's not, that the traditional things that spoils the health of the workers, as well as, that's mere subsistence, generation of, that resources. Why don't we train our people? They don't say education. You don't need education. The moment the people can be trained, that it's informal sector. As they, do you think, you taught everybody how to use mobile phone? Don't you, that all Indians, that almost you reach the Internet of Things also. Necessity is mother of invention. The people should be facilitated in such a way, that the moment they understand they can benefit something out of it, the purpose, they will naturally participate. So government should facilitate more in this direction, I believe. So think smart. That there should be a paradigm shift from subsistence levels to the excellence levels. Where government should play crucial role, in my opinion, ladies and gentlemen. So small solar installations or solar community grids, by using domestically manufactured product with small power inverters or batteries in every home, may be helpful to ensure power for all in countries like India. We are talking about power for all. We are talking that way. Ladies and gentlemen, let me take you to the next level. Yes, flexible financing options. We are talking about low interest based financing for individuals to install rooftop solar installations. That would also support faster adoption of clean energy. We are talking about. Come on. So rapid progress, that requires, a strategic shift, to aid competitive domestic manufacturing. We are talking about competitive domestic manufacturing. So the strategic shift, that to aid competitive domestic manufacturing. It is that way. So it's not, that importing, by importing, the solar panels, if you generate electricity, again, we are doing injustice to self-reliance in energy. So of course, that, Atmanirbhar Bharat is achieved, is realistic, with self-reliance in energy sector, that to renewable energy resources, that to solar energy, with a huge potential, that India has been blessed with as a Surya Putra, as a tropical nation. Ladies and gentlemen, it is highly realistic we are talking about. Of course, that, of course, except the COVID has dampened the speed, that's a different scenario, ladies and gentlemen. So when it comes to, the resources, of course, no doubt, the editorials of Hindu and Indian Express and articles from guest columns and debates of Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, big picture like, and also use commercial guides, even the reference texts like NCRT and textbooks you can go for, ladies and gentlemen. So this topic, what I discussed, of course, maybe part of economy, the energy security of the nation we are talking about, that too renewable energy resources, where I touched only, that solar energy. You got other energy, part of, renewable energy resources, wind energy, and biofuel we are talking about, that's different, ladies and gentlemen. And also, it's right time, let me take you to, that once again, not, yeah, let me also. So this way, that I think, because, the articles, that I can show you to some extent, so that you get more. Come on, ladies and gentlemen. So this is, the Prime Minister's statement. Solar energy will play major role in achieving Atmanirbhar Bharat we are talking about. And of course, that it is having established, that 750 megawatt, that the power electricity Rewa, the Madhya Pradesh we are talking about, of course. Maybe, I don't know how the audio is going to be for you. So the electricity now, that less than 2 rupees per unit. I think you got it. Yeah. So I thought of showing that. Now, of course, as a German. Of course, it is that way, that now we gone to the extent of, that in order to achieve self-reliance, the country aimed at ending dependence or, that import. We have decided that government organization which buy solar cells and modules should buy only once made in India. So Atmanirbhar Bharat or self-reliance in energy sector is possible. That there comes a responsibility on the part of, the very governments, we are talking about. Yes, let me 1 second. Forward this. Yes. So another article, of course. So in spite of this, that the COVID situation, we have survived. The point is, the renewable energy sector survived and thrived in the turbulent 2020 we are talking about. This particular article in support of that. So the three articles we are talking about, of course, how, in what way we made, that you can also refer. And two burning questions for India and the world: how fast the use of renewables and related clean energy technologies can scale, and to what extent they can mitigate the increase in fossil fuel use. As the second largest coal producing and consuming country, India, on the earth and the third largest emitter of greenhouse gases, India's transition from carbon intensive resources is a critical front in the global climate change fight you are talking about. Of course, this particular article, highlighting that because the country grapples with intertwined issues like air pollution, water scarcity, and energy security, along with energy access and affordability. Experts say they are starting to see future for India where the coal is no longer a big king, no longer be a king. Got the idea now? It is that way. So we are talking about, so we are the clean and green deal we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. So despite the pandemic, there has been slew of changes, for coal mining generation, and the government is becoming clearer that energy transition is on track. Even the economic recovery continues to take shape. These are all the things, that we talk about. The energy transition is gathering speed. That this article speaks that way. India on track to exceed its renewable energy targets because, we spoke already, the Paris Agreement on climate change, all those stuff. Our renewable energy capacity, the fourth target, the fourth largest in the world with 175 gigawatts before 2022. We spoke at length. Yes, so the Ministry of New and the Renewable Energy Resources and its statistics, that so 49.59 gigawatts of renewable energy capacity is under installation, and additional 27.41 gigawatts capacity has been, tendered. All these things, that we are talking about. The pipeline at nearly 167 gigawatts. India has even more ambitious target of 450 gigawatts of renewable energy capacity by 2030. Additional goal I'm talking about. That way. So if you incorporate, that even hydroelectricity generation, when it comes to, the renewable energy target by 2022, it becomes, the 220 we're talking about. So India is not only on track to achieve Paris targets, Paris Climatic Agreement, the target, but to exceed them beyond your expectation. That's a statement from Prime Minister Modi ji you are talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, I think, so articles like this also, that giving, throwing, that more, that information, that I want you to consult. Ladies and gentlemen, it's that way. One second. I think it is right time. Let me take you in, of course, ladies and gentlemen, and that I appreciate your participation, performance, passions, even hope, with the blessings of the God. This is my humble attempt, ladies and gentlemen, to throw more light, especially on, that the energy, especially solar energy, the huge potential as that India has got as a tropical nation, as a Surya Putra, as architect of international solar energy, under the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy Resources, under that National Solar Mission. You might be aware, that as we are committed to Paris Climatic Agreement, especially the goal of that 175 gigawatts for renewable energy resources, out of which 100 gigawatts for that solar energy, that to 40 gigawatts for rooftop energy, and recent efforts, of course, Madhya Pradesh based the Reva, that a 750 megawatts photovoltaic cell we have done. That it's our commitment towards that the clean and green fuel, that and that self-reliant that economy. Otherwise, Atmanirbhar Bharat is possible only with that self-reliance in energy sector, ladies and gentlemen. That that India has blessed with the huge potential of that 750 gigawatts of that the energy production. Of course, that which is not free from the regional variation. As China has done, we have to work towards that the facilitating the manufacturing sector. It's not by import, by facilitating the manufacturing more solar panels and utilizing that the silicon dioxide availability. Also, that should not hesitate to that collaborate with abroad. That when it comes to that solar panels, as well as that low interest based financing, and to encourage and to incentivize that the manufacturers in this sector. I'm pretty sure that India's commitment towards sustainable development is highly realistic. Ladies and gentlemen, so appreciate your participation and passions. Hope I would have made your time worthwhile, ladies and gentlemen. The humble attempt with the blessings of the God. Tomorrow, same time, we can meet with another topic. Meanwhile, ladies and gentlemen, please use my referral ID, say success, to avail maximum 10% discount, ladies and gentlemen. so that you please go for plus as well as iconic program. And if you got any clarifications, if you needed any clarification also, that you prepare based on this particular the topic, and come back with questions tomorrow session also. Let's meet tomorrow same time 9 o'clock with another topic. Ladies and gentlemen, appreciating all my future leaders of this particular nation. Let me repeat, the future of the nation is shaped in classroom, of course virtual classroom, as what we do now. Appreciate all my future leaders of this particular nation. That thank you so much everyone, and that have rest of the fantastic day. Let's meet tomorrow. Till then, it's bye bye from Success Sampath, and welcoming once again to Unacademy. Thank you so much everyone. Thank you. Please.